We live in a world that's constantly pulling our attention outwards, to our phones, our jobs, our social feeds. But how often do we actually turn that focus inward? How often do we really explore what's shaping our thoughts and feelings? Well, this explainer is designed to be a map, a clear, structured guide to that rich and, sometimes complex territory that's inside each of us.
This quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? So much of life can feel like it's on autopilot. We get triggered by something, we react, and we just move on, without ever really stopping to ask, wait, why did that bother me so much? We're being driven by these invisible scripts, these patterns we don't even know we have, instead of making real conscious choices.
So that's the big question, right? How do we actually break that cycle of just reacting? How do we get off the surface and into the substance of our own lives? That is exactly what we are here to unpack, step by step.
Our first stop on this journey is all about understanding the very foundation of why we do what we do. I want you to think of yourself as an architect of your own mind. Before you can build anything new, you first have to study the existing blueprint, the one that was handed to you years ago without you even realizing it.
This right here is what that blueprint is made of. It's conditioning through what we call mental models. Basically, think of them as mental shortcuts. For instance, if you grew up hearing that asking for help is a sign of weakness, that's a mental model. And that little framework might automatically stop you from reaching out for support, even when you're drowning. These models help us get through the day, for sure, but they can also become cages, trapping us in beliefs that just don't fit us anymore.
And here's the real kicker. A lot of the core stories we tell ourselves about our worth, about what we're capable of, about what we deserve, we didn't even write them. We learned them. We absorbed them. From our families, our culture, we were conditioned. The very first step to freedom is just recognizing that you are not the author of every single thought that pops into your head.
Okay, so we get it. This unconscious blueprint exists. Now what? Well, now we start surveying the actual landscape of our minds. And to do that, we're going to need the right tools to see what's really there, beyond all the surface level stuff.
A really powerful tool for this comes from the psychologist Carl Jung. It's the idea of the shadow self. Now, this isn't about being evil or anything like that. It's simply all the parts of ourselves that we've pushed down or hidden away because we decided they were bad. Our anger, our jealousy, maybe even our ambition. The goal isn't to let these parts run wild, but just to acknowledge they exist. By bringing them into the light, we can integrate them, and they stop controlling us from behind the scenes. We actually get back all the energy we were spending trying to suppress them.
And this slide just lays it all out so perfectly. This is the choice we're trying to learn how to make. Over on the left, you've got that automatic reaction. It's super fast, it's rooted in old stuff, and it usually leaves us feeling kind of powerless or full of regret. But on the right, you have the conscious choice. It's slower, it's thoughtful, it's aligned with who we want to be, and that is where real freedom is found. We're learning to create that tiny little pause between the trigger and our response.
Okay, this matrix is an incredibly practical tool for creating that pause. Let's just walk through the example. So the trigger is a friend ignores you. Your immediate surface emotion is frustration, right? But what do you feel in your body? Maybe a tightness in your chest. Okay, now we go deeper. What's hiding underneath that? For so many of us, it's a core fear of rejection. So the final step isn't about yelling at your friend, it's about responding to that deep fear inside yourself with some compassion. It completely changes the game.
So we've surveyed the landscape, we've started to understand what's there. Now it's time to shift from just analyzing to actually acting. We're not here to just stare at the old blueprint forever, we're here to design a brand new one. This is where we start building an inner compass to guide those conscious choices we were just talking about.
And the absolute foundation of that new blueprint is your core values. And look, these aren't just nice-sounding words. They are the principles that truly define a meaningful life for you. Ever feel that sense of internal friction or conflict? It's often because your actions aren't lined up with your core values, like integrity or connection. When you know what your values are, you finally have a true north, a reliable internal compass for every single decision. Now, as you start doing this work, you're going to stumble. You will fall back into old patterns. That is totally normal, and that is why self-compassion is absolutely non-negotiable. This is not about making excuses for yourself. It's about being able to acknowledge your struggles with kindness, remembering that being imperfect is literally part of the human experience, and offering yourself some warmth instead of constant criticism. Honestly, it's the fuel that keeps this entire journey going. All right, let's bring it all home and put this into practice. We've gone through the theory, we've gathered our tools. This final section is our practical, hands-on guide, a daily toolkit to make self-discovery a real, tangible part of your life. Here's a simple but really powerful 7-step routine to start building a more authentic life.
This routine is your daily roadmap, and it all kicks off with step 1, silent meditation. We're talking just 5 to 10 minutes of focusing on your breath. This simple act is the anchor for your whole day. It creates the mental space you need for everything else. From there, you set an intention for the day, something aligned with those core values we talked about. Then, as your day unfolds, you can weave in these little mindful pauses. Maybe check in with your emotions without judging them. It builds toward deeper connections with others through mindful listening. And finally, you can wind down the day by journaling and ending with a simple moment of gratitude. You see how each step just flows right into the next? It's all about building that muscle of self-awareness.
So here's maybe the most important thing to remember. This is not a project with an end date. You don't just achieve self-discovery and then you're done. No way. It's a living, breathing, ongoing practice. Some days are going to be way easier than others. The goal isn't perfection. It's just about consistent, compassionate presence with yourself, day in and day out.
And so, we'll leave you with this one final question to think about. You've seen the old blueprint. You now have the tools to start designing a new one. You really are the author of your life's next chapter. So, if you could pick up the pen right this second and rewrite just one part of your story, what new belief or what new action would you choose to define that narrative?